Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2. On today's video, we're taking a look at this. It's a GE or General Electric Super Radio 2. This thing is trash picked, so it was rescued from, well, the trash. It has no plug on it. I don't know if it works. It's kind of it's a little boombox radio. It is just a radio, no cassette player, no inputs, no nothing. But it's got metallic-y plastic good looks. If you think kind of this early 80s styling is good. It's heavy. And I guess in this video, I want to see if this thing works and if it's worth me spending some time and effort to obviously clean it up. It's filthy and scratched up and whatnot, but everything seems to be there, including the battery door. So I have that as well. Chunky plastic, lots of battery leakage inside though. So yeah, let's take a look at this thing and see, like I said, does it work? I guess that's the very first thing I should just do. And then we'll kind of go from there, take it apart, look inside, stuff like that. Now, according to a little quick research I did, the Super Radio 2 was made from 85 to around 94, although the dates are a little vague. There were several revisions of this radio. The earlier version, the Super Radio 1, was basically the same thing, came out in 1979. I think the styling was slightly different based on what this is. And then there was a version 3, which was made all the way through 2008. But supposedly the version 3 is not super great quality-wise compared to the version 1 and the version 2. And the big deal about these radios, what makes them super, supposedly, is that they're very sensitive, and the AM radio especially is extra good on these, apparently. And in fact, if we look at the back, it says 800 or what is it, 200 millimeter AM ferrite rod antenna. Like it has a, like that's a feature that this has a really big rod antenna. And yeah, I think a lot of portable radios just had like little small bar antennas. The FM antenna, unfortunately, the tip is broken off. I don't know if this is this anything but just plastic? I think this is just plastic. So I could probably replace this antenna, and it even says antenna screw. Like they knew that this was something that would need to be replaced periodically. Do not expose to rain and moisture. We have a 300 ohm FM antenna input and an AM input as well. There's the battery compartment. It would take 6 D cells and yeah, a lot of leakage and a little area in the side here so you could roll up the power cord and shove it in there. And there's our model number, the 7-2885. I don't see any kind of like extra letters. I think it said on the little research I did, there was like -A, B, C, something like that. Doesn't seem to say that here. There is a date code that's really hard to read. 4101C, I think that says. Someone can, I don't know how to decode GE date codes, but I bet you someone who might watch this might know. But obviously printed in Hong Kong. I have to imagine the radio was probably made in Hong Kong as well. Oh no, it wasn't made in Hong Kong. There it is right there. So it is the F model made in China. Okay, well, what did my little research indicate? A through F were the dates. Production revisions, cosmetic case changes, produced in Hong Kong, Malaysia, China, depending on the production code. Radio Museum lists the F variant, that's this one, as circa 1989. And it was a relatively cheap radio. Now, a couple things about this. It does have a bass and treble control in the front. That's kind of nice. It does only have 0.07 watts, so it's not like it's going to be super loud, although you'd be surprised how loud even 1 watt is. But I think the IF stages, the fact that it has 4 on AM and 3 on FM, plus 280 kilohertz ceramic filter. I'm not sure what that exactly means. And selectable automatic frequency control for the FM. I think the AM reception, because of the 4 stages, makes this thing receive AM stations really quite well. I think by the time this was made, I think a lot of radios were really cheaping out on the AM reception, especially because, you know, people were moving over to FM. So you didn't always have the best reception, and all those stages and stuff make a big difference. Okay, dial cord's not broken, so that's a win. Doesn't turn the best, but it's okay. I don't know what this would have been like when it was new. Obviously, we have a big on-off switch there. Band selector, AM, FM, automatic frequency control for FM. There's treble, bass, and loudness, which is obviously the volume control. That's just the way they said it. I think there's headphone jack on one of the sides. There it is. This is a mono receiver, no stereo decoding whatsoever. And as you can see, we have a rather large speaker, 6.5 inch, and this small tweeter as well, which I think also was added for the version 2. Version 1 didn't have the tweeter. Whether that does anything at all, that remains to be seen. Now, even with this radio being made in China, it's still designed by GE, and I don't think this was just like an off-the-shelf design that they just bought from some overseas company, and therefore I think that a lot of care went into the design of this. Well, I mean, it was a cheap radio back then. I think it was, what, $59, $49, that kind of thing. Back in 80s dollars, that's still not nothing. If you think about like a Timex Sinclair ended up costing about that much, 50 bucks or so. So you could get a whole computer, well, computer in quotes, or radio like this. I think this was relatively an expensive piece of kit. Now down here in the basement, there isn't usually any good radio reception, especially AM radio. So it'll be interesting to see if this thing can actually get anything. If it works, of course. I'm gonna have to attach it to power though. So I'm gonna use my little cheater cord, which has some clip leads on it, which I don't need to use. We'll just feed the ends here into this little clone connector thing. I don't even know what these are called. I mean, I think this is sort of a clone of the Wago stuff, but it's a pretty good connection. Yeah, who makes this? Unknown, but it's good enough for testing. All right, so let's see if this thing is gonna work. It's off right now. Plugging the power cord into my power strip, which is also turned off. Let's turn on the power. Okay, nothing happened, which is good. Here we go. Oh, let's turn the loudness down. Bass and treble in the middle. I'm sure these pots are filthy if they work at all. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Okay, there was a hum for a second. Wow. All right, so this is obviously working. There's definitely a little bit of hum coming out of this. I don't know if it's gonna be picked up in the microphone, but I gotta talk over the music.
Visit expresspros.com.
Wow, the sound is good. It's shocking. There's actual bass out of this thing, and I have these controls set in the middle, whether that's legit or not. Oh, my phone is probably interfering with it. I heard a little bit of something there. Yeah, okay, well, let's get off that music station.
They took my advice and called Nick at eXp Realty, the guy I've recommended more than 20 years.
All right, so this is a bit wobbly. I wonder if that's how that was when it was new. Does this pull off? I don't want to pull it.
Brings a blue color.
All right, well, let's see. Automatic frequency control is off, on.
Relentless marketing, local, regional, national exposure.
Oh yeah, so with it on, you definitely have a wider range. If I turn it off.
Ready to move. Short on your luxury home. Go to Nick Shivers.
See?
Household guarantee.
Kind of locks on.
And
so it makes it easier to tune stuff. Let's see what else we can pick up. Go down to the NPR stations.
That's more or less what we're advocating for, to get the material advantage. We kind of just put the scientific firepower behind it to explain why it works so well.
And the thinking is maybe different too. I mean, if people have done that for years.
Okay, I'm blown away. It's picking up interference. It may be from a wireless mic as well. I'm blown away. The pots aren't even scratchy. Like, what? How is that possible? This thing is filthy. How is that? How is it possible? Okay, let's try the AM real quick. And of course, down here in the basement, LEDs, you know, all the electronics, it generally never works. Yeah, you get a lot of that. Okay, yeah. Only the really strong stations can break through the interference down here.
Никей 225 впервые поднялся выше отметки 55 тысяч пунктов, прибавив 3%.
Why would I watch that? It's #1 preset on the new iHeartRadio app.
All right, well, it's bassy. It really is. And the AM's working as well. This radio just seems to work. So I think that means it's definitely worthy of a proper restoration, cosmetically that is, and you know, a tune-up and maybe changing out some of the filter caps or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of AM stations here I can pick up upstairs, just down the basement. We have several music stations even here. Yeah, turns off. Okay. And it ran for a little while after the power switch was off, which implies that the cap's okay, the main filter cap. All right, well, I think what I'm going to say we should do next, and I'm just going to take the power cord out so there's no chance of it turning on or whatever accidentally. I think the next step is to grab a cloth, and we're gonna try to take this thing apart. I mean, cosmetically, I think this really can be cleaned up. There's, you know, a couple tiny little scratches on the grill, a bit of scratches on the plastic. Looks like the tuning dial is kind of like shifted a little bit. See how it's it's like that. So I guess it was probably glued in there and it's obviously coming off, but this is all fixable stuff. What a cool little radio. I kind of dig this thing, I have to say. Okay, so let's see how this thing comes apart. I am so inexperienced at working on stuff like this. Oh yeah, nice crack on that screw. Tells us that it's probably unlikely anyone's ever been inside of this thing. Nice long fasteners there. From my research, I read that this radio has, I think, a couple PCBs inside, so it's not just a single blobby PCB. And apparently it's got a variable tuning capacitor for the tuning, so it's not the Varactor style that came afterwards. And that might contribute to this actually being a decent performer. Okay, so I can see this is coming apart there. Okay, actually, I stand corrected. I think I do need to take at least these controls off. So it is the front panel that comes off. Knobs pull off. They do. Cool. And is that metal? It's definitely plastic. At least it doesn't have like stick-on covers that fall off, because that's pretty common. So the volume knob, unfortunately, doesn't seem to want to come off easily. I wonder if it's been glued on because maybe it broke. These were stiff, but they came off relatively easy. I'd say that like these controls and this tuning knob stay on the chassis itself, so the top cover will come off. All that's really holding it on now is the volume knob. That's kind of annoying. What's happening here? So I'm going to try to help it with some plastic spudgers. Oh, there we go. I thought it was glued on, but it was not. Okay, awesome. And I think these controls stay on the radio, so you can take the top cover off, potentially. Let's see here. What am I missing here? Or not? So maybe the tuning knob needs to come off. Oh, okay. Tuning knob came off. Cool. So that did need to come off. Okay, and I think that goes like so. Oh, wow. Yeah, look at all that. Let's see what's going on with this. Yep, okay, so that's obviously no longer glued on. Oh, yes, I can see the, what's it called? Banana slicer down here for tuning. Dial cord sort of wraps around. Nothing's broken in here. Yeah, I mean, this is the only thing that's obviously needs to be fixed. Definitely we have signs of some of the corrosion from the battery made its way to the speaker. That's funny. Unfortunately, yep, we'll have to desolder the speaker connection. And as is typical, I think the entire audio system here goes through the headphone jack. So plugging this in just cuts off the speaker and you're using the same amplifier for your headphones. Therefore, if this switch were dirty or something like that, then you might have no sound, and turns out that it's just the switch that's your problem. Because yeah, it looks like the speaker goes here. There's a little capacitor there, I think for the crossover, for the tweeter. And then I'm wondering how many corners were cut with these capacitors, since this is one of the later models. Because, you know, like I see this C53 has quite a large space there, and then it's got this little tiny capacitor. That's funny. All right, so let's see. Oh yeah. Glue application, plus some double-sided tape. Interesting. I wonder if someone tried to fix that, because obviously the glue was put on and then there is this piece of double-sided tape as well. Okay, I wanted to kind of show you the tuning. So if I turn the tuning dial, you can see that it's basically these thin plates that slide into each other. And this is the way tuning was done on radios. It's a big variable capacitor. And I think the different sections, which you can adjust with these screws, I think, have to do with AM and FM, I think. Again, I know very little about this kind of stuff. This is way outside of my wheelhouse. You could just make out the bar antenna for the AM radio, which, yeah, it's big, all right. Looks like it starts way over here, and I think it goes way over there. So that's a long boy. I think that's going to contribute to quite good reception. With that plate not there, I think it was rubbing on the dial indicator, so that was actually causing a bit of friction. This thing now turns quite smoothly. Dial cord, it's in good shape. Doesn't look like it's frayed or damaged or whatever. Obviously, we have lots of plastic pieces on here, so like this is plastic and plastic, but I think it's okay. Yeah. I can't imagine trying to rewind it if this dial cord were broken. Maybe there's service documentation for this radio, but knowing how to rewind this, yeah, goes there, around that, around the tuning capacitor itself. There's a 2-stage pulley here. So the lower section loops around this, and it's wrapped around the dial or the tuning knob, whatever you want to call this, multiple times. It goes around the top stage, or maybe I have it mixed up. Yeah, the tuning capacitor goes to the top part of this. It's the bottom side that goes around this to there. And there's, a certain number of turns per peg and everything like that. There's tension. There's a spring on the actual tuning thing here. I can't imagine. I know it's doable, and lots of people who are experiencing this stuff can redo the dial cord. I have a feeling if I was trying to do it, I would fail miserably at that. But it is working fine. There are lots of adjustments down there on this lower tuning board. See, like that's probably a potentiometer, and then there's, I think, at least 3 chokes that you can adjust, and then whatever you can adjust on the actual tuning capacitor itself. And then of course this top board, which would contain the amplification, obviously. We have a bunch more stuff here. Oh, there's an IC there. That's probably the main amplifier chip. 0.7 watts, TDA something or other. According to this, there it is, 8 ohms, 2 watts, 5 watts max, made in Japan. This little tweeter, 14 ohms, or yeah, no, 140 ohms. Sorry, that's out of focus. There it is, 140 ohms for the little tweeter. And everything's just dirty inside, but it's certainly cleanable. I just have to take stuff apart, although, gosh, again, to like recap this thing fully, there's a cap down there on that board to take out the tuning assembly. That's scary to me. The top board is probably doable. Everything is soldered together, so it's very typical construction for these like inexpensive radios. Not like things are connected with connectors, which is why I cut a zip tie to extend this length a little bit, so the speaker wasn't getting pulled on so tightly. There is a transformer underneath here. That's for the mains input. I'll probably have to take this board off. I was going to replace the power cord. I have another one to replace it with. Why don't I try to do that now and hope that this doesn't go catastrophically wrong. So I'm going to take out the fasteners to try to remove this top board and see if doing that gives me access to the transformer underneath. It almost feels like the entire radio, this thing all could come out. And that might be what I have to do actually to get to the transformer. But I see some fasteners, like there's one there, probably that. And I'm wondering if this whole assembly pops out. Well, let's see if I can start with this board though. 5 fasteners, that just didn't really get me anywhere because of all these wires that are connected up. Let me try taking out all the fasteners that hold what look like the radio chassis in, which hopefully takes this whole thing out. It looks like it's sort of on a scaffolding. And then maybe that exposes the transformer. Maybe. All right. Yeah, look at this. All right, so there are still connections, and it goes to the antenna. Oh, you can really get a look at the bar antenna for the AM radio. Look at this thing. It's so long. Now, to be very careful with this right now because the AM radio bar is connected to the terminals there, ground and AM, and I don't want to break those very thin wires. So I need to figure out what I am doing here. I'm trying to get the power cord, it's hidden underneath this little cardboard piece here. I think that's where the power cord goes, which is plastic staked on there. All right, so one thing I can see is that it would have had a polarized plug. because this side of the mains cord is actually connected directly to the PCB here as like ground. Obviously the AC transformer doesn't matter the polarity going into it, but for this ground thing, it does. That's interesting. And I can feel that one side of this cord is smooth, the other side is rough. And it's the rough side that is going to the ground. So that's going to be the neutral side of the plug. Now, if we take a US plug and we look at one that's polarized, see one blade is wider than the other. So the thinner blade, this one that I have my thumb on, that is the hot or live, and this is the neutral, the wider one. And this power cord I had that I was going to install on this radio, the white wire, this is North American color standards, this is the neutral, and the black wire is the live or the hot wire. All right, there we go. It is reconnected. Hopefully I didn't break anything in the process. Let me just double check. AM antenna is looking good. Ground is still hooked up. Polarization is correct. I mean, we can double check the polarization. I would be pretty annoyed if I got that wrong. Let's use the multimeter. It's a bit of a struggle. You know, this is the kind of thing like when you work on these a lot, you probably are very familiar with the way these come apart and go back together. Okay, so I'm on the neutral leg. Oh, wow, I did it backwards. You gotta be kidding me. No. Oh, wait, what did I do? Is this cord bad? I didn't even check this cord. You gotta be kidding me. So continuity works, and yet we're getting nothing there. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I just had this cord sitting around. I didn't check to make sure that the cord was actually good. Let's double check the connections there. Oh, wait a second. So that's correct, but it's not here. So I must have not soldered that or something. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to fix that, obviously. Yeah, okay, so we have good connections. That's the smaller of the two connections. This is the thinner blade, so this is the hot. And then this one is the neutral, just the wider one. Should be connected to this, and it is not. Oh, come on. Oh, hold on a second. I just noticed in the heat shrink is a component. So it's probably a capacitor. Oh, okay. Okay, well, so that is not bad. That is not bad. It is actually connected. I could see it connected underneath. So good. I don't have to like struggle with that wire management again. That was a bit of a pain. Now, in case you're working on one of these, this side of the AM radio, one connection, this one that's sort of copper color, that goes right there. And the green wire, it's a bit of a mess, but it's attached to this blob right there that I'm pointing at with the knife. So this green wire. So I'm just making sure that it's not touching anything. Now, of course, it's covered in enamel, so it's not going to short anything. And then over here, this part of the AM antenna, that connects right to this middle part right here. Between these three connections, it's right there. And then, yeah, the other side of the bar antenna connects to the back of the case. All right, let me try to get this thing back together to make sure it still works. It is so dirty in here. It really needs to be fully disassembled, but this second channel video, I will not be able to do that. I really just wanted to kind of change this cord out. In this video, I'll have to come back to this and work on further cleaning and fixing of the radio. So you can kind of see where the bar antenna connects to the terminal there. Okay, so let's get this back in its right spot. Okay, so I know there was one longer fastener that holds this whole assembly in, and it's this one right there. So I'll put that one back in first. And now it's just a matter of installing the rest. And now this board here is loose because I took that out unnecessarily. Obviously, if I was going to recap that, I'd have to desolder a bunch of wires and stuff like that. But it seems to work as is. I'm just going to spend a moment. I mean, I can clean a little bit, right? So I'll clean these two sliders, just the parts that you can't get to easily. So it looks a little bit less horrible. Now, as for the dial, what should I do with it? I guess I'll just put it back to the way it was. I'll just lay that piece in there. This is still kind of sticky, this part. So I gave this a little bit of a clean. I didn't even use any kind of cleaning product. I just wiped it with a dry microfiber cloth. Let's get this underneath the dial indicator. And I'm going to push it down onto that sticky tape. That tape doesn't work at all. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put tiny little pieces of adhesive tape on the corners. I don't have any kind of glue to clean this off and reapply right now, so I got to just come up with something makeshift. And I'm going to put something just in the corners because I don't want it to be impossible to remove when it is time to remove. Okay, let's get this into the right place. Okay, it's not down in the middle, but does the dial indicator rub on it? It does. It does just rub on it. So I'm going to try to stick a little piece in the middle here. Let's get the indicator all the way to one side. Okay, there we go. You can just see it there, but at least it's holding it down. And does that make a difference? Yeah, I think so. Okay, I realized that you can take the power button off. So I pulled that off. That was really the only way to get this reinstalled. Not sure how you're supposed to get this off when the radio is fully assembled. Maybe like pry it in there, but I did kind of manage to get it off by just holding this down when I pulled the top cover off. Before I go ahead and put everything on, I should have done it before I put that on. I need to see if this thing does work. So here's our power cord. Let us see what happens. Here we go. Okay, it still works. That's good. So I'm just going to spend a moment and I'm going to clean the knobs. I mean, I know it's ridiculous, the selective cleaning, but I might as well do it. Look at that. Yeah, grimy. There it is. Radio's all back together. I gave it a barely clean, just kind of a clean. But at least, you know, it's not super gross to touch. I mean, there's still quite a lot of grime in there. I literally spent 10 seconds. Now, it is on right now, and I have it hooked up to my phone here, and royalty-free music. Let's hit play. I'm shocked at how good this sounds. And if you're wondering how I hooked us up to my phone, let me quickly demonstrate that. I have this little tiny dongle-y thing here. This actually is an FM transmitter and has a little screen on it. It had very short range, so I attached a wire to it. I just opened it up, and now it has a really good range, and I can use it all around my house. I think it even has a microphone in it, so for hands-free calling through your FM radio, I think it's for your car, basically. Anyhow, if we plug this in, it's tuned. If it boots up, and I'm watching 105.5.
Connected.
Oh, connected. Yep. There it is. It just resumed. So that way I can play the royalty-free music without having copyright matches. I don't think the audio will come through how good it sounds. But definitely, I have the covers on the back. I'm not sure if these vents on the back are actually open. Maybe. But definitely having it sitting on the desk, it really enhances the sound. And I have the bass treble just in the middle. It sounds really good. It sounds shockingly good for something from the 80s. But I never had a good boombox. When I was a kid, I had a little cassette player thing. It was a small Panasonic thing, and it just sounded pretty bad. I never had anything with large speakers like this, so I don't have anything to compare it to. And I assume the bigger boomboxes that existed out there, the expensive ones with cassettes and all that stuff, probably sounded pretty good, actually. And this is not bad. Obviously, you'd get similar sound out of something tiny now compared to this with, you know, DSP processing and stuff. But this is actual radio, and it's good to have a radio around. You might be asking, like, what's the point of this? I mean, A, it just looks cool. But the other thing is that what if there's a natural disaster and the phone networks are down? Well, sometimes the only way you're going to get your news is especially AM radio, because if there's a power outage and you're running on battery, you can DX, like you can get AM radio from cities far away from where you are, especially, you know, with the right time of day, like nighttime, or I don't know, atmospheric conditions are correct for that. I have picked up signals from Boise, San Francisco, all sorts of places, you know, much further away from Portland. And if something were happening here in Portland and there was no power or whatever, and I had batteries to run this, well then obviously I'd be able to hear the news, and, you know, phones would be down and everything, right? So yeah, that's the whole point. But this thing actually sounds good. I'm just shocked. Let's see about other tracks here. These are all sort of quiet ones. I mean, it goes without saying, the bass is not going to shake your house, but it's enough that without the screws and the radio, it was rattling the whole radio, and stuff on my desk is rattling. So impressed. I'm impressed. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this upstairs and try the AM radio and just see if that's as good as it supposedly is supposed to be. And then we'll kind of go from there. The FM performance seems fine. I mean, I'm able to pick up stations down here and I don't even have the antenna out. But yeah, let me go try AM and I'll be right back. Okay, there's a fly in here. I'm back. And well, the radio works well on FM, but it doesn't work so well on AM. Problem is there's quite a bit of 60 hertz hum coming through on the AM band, and I don't know if that's just a cap problem or something in my house. There's a lot of like AM inductive interference, because the FM band is completely perfect and there's no issues. It has really good reception actually. But on the AM band, the reception is not that great. It's certainly not terrible, but I have one of these. This is a code to send, I don't know, DX280 or DX286. It should be a 386DX. Anyways, DX286. This little portable thing has really good selectivity on AM, quite good sound quality. You can actually change the bandwidth and like make it 8 kilohertz. FM works really well on this as well. I actually keep this in the bathroom because I often listen to the radio a little bit, you know, in the morning when I'm getting ready or whatever. And I picked up an AM station, I think it was 1480. I don't even know if that's a Portland station or not, but this thing was picking it up without issue. It was a bit staticky, but 100% listenable. I tried to tune it in on this. This could pick up 1450, which is our local Portland School District radio station with music and stuff. Both of these were getting that fine. But at 1480, this radio, the super radio, wasn't so super. It was really staticky. And even though there was that hum as well there, you really could just barely make out the radio station, sort of a talking radio station of whatever it was. And moving it around helped a little, but not as much as I would have hoped. So I don't know if the performance of this is not working as well as it should because the caps are worn out or it's out of alignment. I mean, I didn't touch anything. I don't think anyone's ever been inside of this based on the fact every screw made a big crack when I took it out. So no one's ever touched any of the fly. Wow. No one's ever touched anything in here. I mean, I certainly didn't, and I'm not going to touch anything in there. But yeah, not performing as good as I would have hoped. So that's a bit disappointing. I mean, I bought this because I like to have a good quality AM radio for the reasons I mentioned. I'm going to have to get the bug zapper out here. I have one of those like net things with electrified things. Anyhow, I'm going to have to... I lost my train of thought. I have this for the reason I mentioned. I like to be able to have an emergency radio and I use it all the time. That way I know it's working and it does charge off. Well, I thought USB-C, but it's actually micro USB, so that's kind of lame. But whatever, I can charge it off a little USB power bank or a solar panel or whatever, and then have a radio for emergencies and stuff like that. And I was going to say, if you have one of these or some kind of portable battery powered radio, you use it periodically, because what's the point of an emergency radio if it's dead? Because you don't use it ever. I like this little radio. This obviously sounds way better on FM because it's physically heavy and large and has really good clear sound. This is kind of hollow and tinny, but it does have stereo. So this is it, the GE Super Radio 2. This radio is definitely worthy of having been saved, and it's definitely worthy of me taking it apart once I have more space and more time, and fully disassembling this thing, desoldering the wires, and giving this thing a nice, thorough clean. Because I think with a little bit of polish, like some Novus plastic polish on the clear lens here and some of the other plastics, I think it could look pretty good again. And I guess the question is yeah, really, I had the door open upstairs for just a little while, and I swear the flies just love to fly into the house, and then they They really bug me. It's a bug. So really, the question I have is to anyone out there who's familiar with this kind of stuff, is this radio not performing up to its standard because parts are worn out or it's out of alignment, which is not something I could probably fix anyways. I can obviously try to fix caps. I just don't really see how caps could be causing this particular issue of it not receiving signals that well. And I did double check, by the way, before I put together that all of the connections from the bar antenna are connected properly to all the various points on the radio. Wow, this is one of those dumb old flies, you know, when they get old and they just sort of brrr, they bumble around. That's what's happening with this one. The bar antenna is definitely connected, and I don't see any signs, by the way, that this thing's been dropped. I mean, it's certainly, I mean, really? Anyways, I don't think this thing's being dropped. I don't see any like caved in corners. It's definitely scratched up on the bottom here from where it's just been sitting on a shelf for a long time, but no other parts of it have any evidence of it having been dropped. I know that if you drop one of these radios, it can break the bar antenna, although it did seem really well affixed in there, and it's very big. So there we go. That's this video. It's weird, not my normal thing. I just need to make something quick because I have a trip coming up, and there we... Really? Anyhow, I need to end this video before I knock something off the table, swatting at that fly. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs up. Thanks to my supporters. I will see people at VCF in Dallas, and that is going to be that. So stay healthy, stay safe, and maybe you'll catch me listening to the super radio, you know, walking down the street with my super radio. I'll see you next time. Bye.